recording this now, so if you're in the witness protection program, mute, cover your face or something. I don't know, but we're recording this so for prosperity, so everybody will have a copy of it and refer back to it as we get going. So thank you guys so much for this. We have a ton of applications. Thank you, Clint. I want to introduce everybody to Clint Hall. Clint, say hi. There you go. Clint is our person that's our procurement person that is in charge of this whole mess. And he is the one that collected all the applications and stuff. And I think we have something like 62 mini grants and 58 full grants. So we're going to be scoring them all. So that's at least we know where it is. And so we'll be assigning teams of 3 people to groups of applications. We still haven't decided yet. I've just kind of been noodling it, and I'm still waiting on a few more people to sign up for reviewers that are out there that are said they're going to get back to me by today or tomorrow. But I'm thinking it will be either like a fair and equitable distribution of 6 mini grants and 6 full grants to everybody, or I might do it where I'll do groups of people to do only mini grants, and you'll get like 14. They're a lot quicker and easier, and they go quicker. And then the full grants will be like nine nine grants or something like that. So still to be decided, and you'll be surprised when we give them out. So a few words about this process. You will be getting a conflict of interest form, either from myself or Clint. Clint and I are working out how to do that. I'm going to try to help him as much as I can. I want to be able to help him as much as I can without crossing any procurement boundaries. So you'll be getting a conflict of interest along with a score sheet of everybody that's applying. And that way, like, it'll be like if you have anything monetarily involved, or somebody from your organization is applying for that grant, then that would be a conflict of interest, and you would just indicate it, and we would send you on your way. But basically, there's a conflict of interest form that very quick, and you guys have seen those before, that'll come out. And you'll be getting a packet either for he and I of basically a score sheet for the mini or the full grant that you would fill out for each applicant and save it in a way that, like you would put your name down, the applicant's name in there in a file, and then you would send those to Clint. And there will be instructions on what to do when that packet comes out. And also in that packet will be the actual applications that come in. So, and their application and their budget worksheet, and any letters of reference or letters of whatever we called it, yeah, letters of reference, just for things. That's the only thing that can be in there, is like a application, a budget, up to 3 letters of reference, just for you. They don't involve in scoring, but it just lends to the credence for us to see if they can manage a project of any scale and things like that. So the other thing is, when you're filling out the applications, it's part of what we call the letter of, it's part of the public record. So anything that you put on there is discoverable. So please just be, I guess, don't just the facts, just put what you see on there. Try not to, if you have inside knowledge of the particular application, just go by what they put on their application. That's what you're scoring, and not what you think they could do or think they can't do, I guess. That would be it. So that's the general outlook like that. It's pretty quick. In a second, I'm going to share my screen and kind of go through some of these examples, but I kind of wanted to pause right now with you guys and ask if you guys have any general questions right off the bat. So,
Rick, this is Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hey, when do you want these done by?
Well, that's the thing. It's there. We said we would announce this in like the 1st of January, like January 2nd, I believe. So we have the rest of this month, which, it's like 3 weeks and it's in the middle of the holiday season. I would just ask, do the best you can. It's a fair question, Jennifer. I would just like to point out that for the equipment grant, I did yours all in one day last Friday, and so I got them knocked out. So I'm just saying it's all in priorities. But seriously, if you could just work on a couple a day, and we're going to shoot for the 1st of January. And I mean, Clint and I talked about this a little bit too, but I'm sure it's a situation where if we're late, we're late. If we have to bump it out a week or something like that, it won't be the worst thing in the world. Things already have been delayed. The heavy lift has been done in that it was a big struggle to get this stuff out on, in a reasonable amount of time this school year. And it was very successful, got a lot of applications in, 120-ish of them. So wow, that's great. But just do as best you can. They're going to be due at the end of the year, 12/31, because January 1st is yeah, January 1st, and then we wanted to announce January 2nd, but remains to be seen. So good question. And thank you to our Washington partners. Hey, Rachel, thanks for being here. So always volunteer to be on other people's committees. That way you get them, like Jennifer and Rachel. So just a little tip for you guys that are doing grants. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you guys have more questions, just think about it, and you could just shout out and stuff, and we'll get to them. But okay, here is my awesome file of things. So I am going to look through. I'll go through the budget first, just because they'll put in either a mini grant application or a full grant application, but then they'll also do a budget. It's the same budget for each of them. And I'm going to do a good budget first. This is one that I just invented a few years ago. And it's a very straight, simple budget. There's a total sheet here. Everything rolls up here. But basically, everybody enters their costs on this blue tab here. And if you'll see here, Joe Strummer applied. If you know who Joe Strummer is, good on you. So we got here, this is it. We have a category for travel. We have one for equipment here. We have a labor. We have some contractual stuff, and there's miscellaneous, and then there are indirects. So what they did here in this fictitious example, when they do labor for somebody, they just didn't, you could just put a dollar amount there because it's just a budget and you're trying to figure out first how labor is going. But in this case, I really love it when people do this. They'll say, oh, 14 hours a month times 16 months at $23.57 an hour, and your benefits at 15% of staff time. So it's at least they put in some thought in how they got those numbers. So that's really good. Hours times wage. And we have that in the RFA, that's the allowable way of doing things, is like do wage plus hours. When they do a claim and they send in a claim for labor, we always ask to split it out that way too. So, and we put it in the RFA. So I just that's a really good example of they put in some thought of all this things for their school garden coordinators or whatever. They figured out how to do their labor. Other things like for instructional supplies, microscopes, whatever, they thought it out. They've looked at Amazon or something, and they have some rough idea of cost. They don't just put supplies, $2,000, which, that's good. They have that amount, but this shows in some thought of actual putting in some supplies, and some how they got that. That's what we're looking for a good example. Mileage, the same thing. at 2,600 miles at 65 cents a mile, it comes out to that much. So, or partial costs of transport for farm field trips, for a bus barn, $450 flat rate. At least I know how they got that number. So we love that kind of stuff. Honorariums for speakers. Things are just listed here, stipends, things like that. They're listed here so we could figure out how they got it. The indirect rate is just that, indirect rate. We don't put any other costs in there that, if they put other costs in there, it's not a deal breaker. It's just that when they put in their claims, it's like, actually you can only claim indirects there. That's it. That's your only thing in here is an indirect rate. So that's pretty simple. So having said all this, I'm going to show a bad example now. And these are on Oregon Buys for people to download. And look, these are the actual examples that I've given all the people so they see these too. But a bad example is just that. There's nothing in here. There's just big flat numbers. I mean, it's acceptable at a bare minimum. At least they put in some thoughts for something, but it wouldn't score very good. So mileage, $2,000. Well, how did they get that? There's nothing there. There's just flat numbers, pretty basic and easy. So somewhere in the middle, like there's that good example I shared with you, and then there's nothing. And, the points are accordingly. I mean, if you can figure out how they got there, that's good. So that's a budget. Pretty simple. I will start looking at mini grant application here. And it says example, it's not filled out, but we're just going to go through it. This is basically the mini grant application for those of you that will be scoring a mini grant application. It's a little bit, it looks very, very similar to the full grant, but it's just, it's easier and there's less points involved in the thing. This first bit here, whoops. I don't want to do that. This first bit here is all just informational stuff, name, organization, address, type of organization that is applying for the funds. And that's just how we figure out how they're eligible. So it's like a ESD, nonprofit school district, Indian, federal recognized Indian tribe, soil water conservation district, or one of those things. They're just, they just check those. Here's an overview of the project. This is the first thing that you really kind of zoom into. It's not scored, but this is what, when we actually give the application, we take this and put on a press release of like in 100 words or less, what are they doing? This will give you an idea what they're doing. So one thing we figured out years ago, it's like you had to sometime read 20 pages to figure out what they were doing. It was like, at least this will zero you and you can say, got it. They're going to do farm field trips and a bicycle smoothie machine or something like that. This is what they're doing. And then the rest you can fill in the blanks, but this has been kind of helpful. It's just an overview right here. And then how many youths, this is for our reporting and stuff. How many youths are they going to serve and stuff? Still not scored. And then we get into, I'll get in here, like the points. Okay. Okay, yeah, here we go. So your proposed project and activity is 10 points for this, for the mini grant. They're going to fill this out and then they're going to submit your budget worksheet. You're going to look at that. And basically, you look at these things like increasing attendance, decreasing behavioral issues, increasing meal participation, whatever, things like that. And they're, what they're filling out here, that will get you to where you decide to give some points there. So 10 points for proposed project and activity design. And then, and that includes the background of what they're doing, as well as your budget worksheet. So 10 points for that. And then promotion of healthy food activities is 6 points. And basically, these things are like depending on what they put here, you're going to figure out what they score for the healthy food activities, 6 points for that. And then project has clear educational activities. You can do up to 2 points for that. Pretty simple for the mini grant here. Hang on. 1 point for community and parent and guardian involvement. This is something pretty good to share, because a lot of times they will they'll talk about stuff, but they won't really talk about how parents or guardians are involved, or the home. Like if stuff is going home, they'll talk about the kids, but they can get a point for involving the community as well. And then this is educational activities are tied to the school district or sponsors farm to school procurement activities. There's no points for this, but this is just pass, fail, incomplete. Or basically what you're looking for here is for a signature for the food service director. And basically this is pass, fail, or NA, not applicable. So if they are setting foot on grounds and they're in the cafeteria, then the food service director should know about it and approve it and stuff. We years ago we used to have this happen where like we'd get a call from either the building principal or the food service director and say, why are there people in my building? I didn't okay this. So like if they're doing taste tests in a school district or school building, they should get the food service director to sign there. And if they don't, it's a fail. So where it might not matter is if they're doing a farm field trip and they're not even setting foot in the school district, like we're doing farm field trip, we're not going to be on school ground, we're picking up the kids and moving off. So then it's okay, they're not in the cafeteria, but they should probably just stipulate that. Okay. And I see some questions coming in. I'll go over those in a bit, but I just want to kind of go through the other, I'll go through the full grant here. And the score sheet that you guys will be doing. So basically, okay, so and this will make more sense too when we're looking at this score sheet, but this is for a full grant. For those of you, again, who will be doing a full grant, basically the same thing. Information is here, who they are, what they are, some non-scored things. There's also the box in there about overview of the project, like the first one. And then again, proposed project activity and design, that's the same. They're doing that. The budget worksheet, that's going to be in there again. Now it's 13 points for promotion of healthy food activities instead of, I think, what I said before, 5 points. But there's more stuff in here to look at and more stuff to check on. Educational activities is worth more. It's worth 4 points. I think the parent community is 3 points now, and there's more things to check off and more things to consider there. And then again, they have the nutrition services signature there. So how that makes sense here, if we look on this and we look at the mini grant score sheet. I'll look at the mini grant score sheet. So basically it has the rubric in here. So you can look at this and it's like, look at these for each of the questions, and there's questions for each one. Like question for the first section, does the budget match activity needs? Technical assistance, education. Does the proposal identify responsible staff partners? So it gives you guys as scorers when you're looking at section 1, it'll give you some things, and you can score it accordingly to that. And so it'll show you there. Same thing with the promotion of healthy food activities. There's questions here to look for to get you to score those 6 points. And then same for educational activities, parent and guardian involvement, and then the signature is pass fail. So that's the mini grant. And I'll just say the full grant is the same way, except for it has different questions to ponder, and there's the questions and the rubric is laid out there. So that what you will do is you'll just get the score sheet and you'll put your name here Rick Sherman, and the applicant name is XYZ School District. So this is for the mini, and then I'll save this. I'll just file save as mini Rick Sherman, something so you could figure that out, send it to Clint, and then Clint you'll probably figure a way to rename the file so they all come up in some order. But um, and and he and I can talk. We might be able to have um, some direction on that too. But basically, you just fill this out, and then for each section here, like here's section one, in blue here, it jumps out at you. You'd put the score in here of the 10 points. You're going to say, I'm going to score at 8, and here's why. I gave them 8 points because they didn't fully address or whatever. Just kind of say something in there to jog your memory, because what'll happen at the end of this, we'll have a scoring meeting. We'll try to find a time. And this is where it kind of might push the time out a little bit, because we need to find a time where all three of you guys and your team, we can meet together. And we did the same thing we did for Washington, or we'll do for Jennifer's equipment grant. But basically what we'll do, it's pretty straightforward. It's like, if things are more or less the same, we don't really discuss it. But Clint will probably look at something like, hey, in this one, there's like a standard deviation. If you remember that from your high school math class, it's like Rick scored this at 10 and Rachel scored it at 2. Can we talk about that one? And you guys we can change our score. If we could say, nope, I say 10 is great, and Rachel could say, I think 2 is great, and then we go forward. As long as you're consistent and how you're scoring everybody, that's great. But you might be able to, like, as a group, we discuss like, oh, well, I scored them this way because, and then I'll use the example, since I'm always right, I'll say because of this, and Rachel will go, oh, I didn't think of that. I'll move my score up a little bit. So something like that, or I can move down. The one thing is, we want you to, and Clint, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't want you to talk amongst yourself to get the scores. You need to do this only on your own merits. And we discuss only during the scorers meeting. So it's okay to just, score it how you do. I always say be consistent. If you, like, I always score consistently harsh, but you score it that way the whole way through. Like, if whatever your metrics are for doing it, be consistent all the way through and base it on the application. But yeah, don't reach out for, the only person you should reach out for help in scoring is Clint, and not even me for that. Right, Clint? Did I everything's thumbs up. So talk to Clint if you have a question about the application, if something's missing or something like that. I won't really have access to him anyway I'm just like you guys for that, but he's our single point of contact. But yeah, don't talk amongst yourselves, and we'll talk amongst ourselves at the scoring meeting. So okay, what else? I'm going to stop sharing for a while and let me look. I think we had some questions. Okay. Great to see you, Rachel. Angela, maybe you'll go over this on your slides, but I have no slides, by the way, Angela. I'm wondering about the process. We review and then we come back together and discuss. Yeah. So yeah, you review, you send in everything to Clint, and then we'll come back together in small team meetings of 3 people and Clint, 3 people and Clint, whoever that is, and he'll walk you guys through that. And we'll just discuss any major discrepancies in score. So yeah. And it will be tricky with holidays. I mean, I honestly, I'm kind of thinking it's going to go out into January just because of that, a week or two. But hopefully we'll be able to get it done. Now, if you guys are like me and you have nothing else going on and no problems, you can just spend all your time doing apps the next couple days and be done with it. But right, yeah. But you guys, I know we're all super busy. I really appreciate everybody jumping in. You're specialists, a lot of people that are doing reviews. I get it. So do as best you can. Okay, you'll be out December 24th. Indirect rate vary. Yes, for indirect rate. So the education grant statute is really clear. Good question. Who did that? Jennifer. Okay, so the statute's really clear. This can own the cost associated with can go to activities to Oregon kids that are in CACFP, National School Lunch Programs and such. They can only go to those kids for teaching them about Oregon food. So that's another thing. Like sometimes we'll get an application that's just like a home ec application, like baking cakes, and it's like nowhere in there does it say that it's local Oregon food you're teaching about. So you can score them accordingly for that. But one of the things that says that those can only go to activities for that. However, you can use up to 25% of your cost for other costs. That just because there's a lot of nonprofits in this that do this, there's overhead that they need to be able to operate this grant. It's not like not like a lot of school districts that have to do this, and so they'll have what they call an indirect rate that they can charge. They can charge up to 25% of the award for that, but no more of just indirect, and that's an overhead and stuff. Like I think Oregon State University has like a higher indirect rate than that, but we say, well, that's fine, but you can only charge up to 25%, for instance. So that's just, it's up to 25%. Cannot exceed. Okay. Note that some of this language is based on school environment. Yes, it is. But some early childhood centers are eligible and will apply. Yes, their proposals may look different. For example, they administer CACFP, and the title of folks listed, they might look different in K-12. Thank you, Angela. Yes, and we have some CACFP specialists on here too that certainly get that too. But and that's partly my fault. I fall into that thing of farm to school. We've called this the Farm to CNP grant, education grant, and Farm to CNP, but Farm to School is a catch-all term. But yeah, even like the food service director and business manager has different titles in there, but they're similar people, but different titles in there. But yeah, it's a good thing to keep in mind. Clint. Rick, I can offer a file naming convention for folks that want to use one like rock salt. Oh yeah. So maybe when we send these out, that's a good idea. Clint will we will put a like, hey, save the file. When you save your file, your score sheet, save it this way, and that'll help us so we don't have to rename it all and stuff too. Yeah, exactly. Contact Clint directly, and it will be in the packet, his email address. You know, I won't keep it's clint.hall@ode.oregon.gov, but I won't ask you to commit that to memory. But we can do that. It'll be in the packet in the next couple days. We're just got to confirm everything when we get all the people together. Sarah, Clint will schedule the meetings for each cohort after all three have submitted their scores, or these follow-up meetings ahead of time. That's a good question. I think we kind of have to have everybody in order to do it, but we could tap people and reach out and see how they're doing. That's where I'm going to come in. I'm going to be helping. I'm going to be gently reminding people like, how are you doing? Because we want to like, and I might even do some doodle polls. I did that last time for everybody to like, hey, when can you meet, guys? And so I will help Clint do that, and I'll give him the times, and I got to look at his calendar too. So I'm going to be helping him do that because that's kind of an overwhelming thing. I should show you I won't do it. I have this scores sheet that I use that has everybody's name, all your names on here, and all the applicants. And I have this grid, and I put a value in each one you guys are doing, and I look over and find out. So they're all the applicants are reviewed at least 3 times by 3 people, and then they're equitably distributed amongst you all. And so it's a cool sheet and everything, but then I get that and I'll figure out, I'll start reaching out and looking at calendars. I can look at all you ODE people's calendars. Thank you. But then all our outside people, I'm just going to have to send emails to see when you're available, and I'll work that out with Clint. Angela, hourly rates will vary too. And I think that is okay. For the budget too, Angela, hourly rates and stuff, it's an estimate. It's a budget. Um, we ask people to, like, when they do submit a budget, that is their budget for the thing. And then we always ask, like, you can always change it. Like, hey, we were gonna do a farm field trip and now we're gonna do tasting tables. And so it's a major programmatic shift. I always work with the applicant. They can always change their applicant. They just have to let me know. Or if it's up to 10%, if it's just like, oh, I'm paying somebody $16 an hour, now I'm going to pay 12, they can just do that. And they don't even have to notify me. If it's up to 10% of the full amount, and that's similar to what USDA does for their grants too. And so if it's a major programmatic shift, they could do it. But for the purposes of submitting a budget for you guys to look at, I mean, if they get it as close as they can, then that's what they can do. So, okay. What
Rick,
else?
can I just interject quickly? I think I'm
Yes, you
also,
can.
thank you. I think I'm also asking, this is like years old from doing this. I don't even know when this happened, but I do remember reviewing many, many years ago, pre-COVID, where it seems like some reviewers were subjectively comparing applications to other applications. Like, wow, this application seems very cost heavy for the amount of children that are impacted. But that's not really the point of our review. Like, we're not supposed to compare applications to other applications or subjectively say what we think is expensive
Yeah.
or underfunding, really, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I just want to clarify that.
And we do say that, and I glossed over it really quick in the application, but we do say, like, there is a section there that we say, how many students do you serve? Because we used to score that. And we found out that there's not a subjective way you can score big versus small on the same playing field, but we need to know it just for our evaluation numbers of how many school kids are getting reached. It's really good information to know, but you're exactly right. So we have that part you were talking about. We say this is not scored. So yeah, it's kind of a fine dance. You have to just look at something. Now, I will say sometimes something will look fishy. It's like, well, gee, it's $100,000 grant and they're doing it all on a bicycle smoothie machine. It's like you probably don't need $100,000 for, I mean, so there are some things that don't pass the sniff test, but some things like what you're talking about comparing about other applications, yeah, you have to do each one on their own merits. And the part where we say we're not scoring, we mean it. We're not scoring that part, and so it shouldn't enter into the thing. But thank you, Angela. Big versus small. And okay, I'm getting to and thank you, Rachel, for your, hey, Rachel, if you could send me your cohorts too. Yeah, that would be great if you know hers. So but anyway.
Just Annette's you're looking
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
Sure. We can get that together.
That'd be cool too. What else? I talk very fast like a motor mouth, but I think this seems simple in my brain, but then I'm very close to it. So I apologize if I don't. I think when you print out or not print out, when you look at the score sheet and look at the application, it once you do one or two, they tend to go pretty quick. That's how they are. And with when I was with Washington's and Jennifer's too, it's like once you get a couple down, then you start getting into a rhythm. For me, that's how I found out. Also, I'm still recruiting. If you know a buddy or two that would love to do this that isn't involved in the application process, I would love to send them a recording of this and get that. I mean, the more people I get in this the last minute, the less applications everyone has to do. So it's kind of it's a heavier lift for everyone otherwise. So, and I just wanted to thank everybody, especially on the ODE team that jumped in here. All my buddies. I really can't. We can't do this without all of you guys for sure. I want to thank you so much. So, thank you so much. I owe you guys. I don't know if legally I owe you like stuff like beer or anything, but whatever. Someday maybe. Who knows? But yeah, officially no. But I owe you. Yeah, my gratitude. Let's put it that way. Any other questions? Anybody? Jared, any positive words of wisdom from ODE procurement?
Yeah, like you said, basically, once you kind of know what you're looking for, once you get into a process and a rhythm, doing it last year was actually quite fun. And it just sort of turns into a flow of what you're looking for when you're looking through it, and then know how to score just based off what you feel like makes a lot of sense, what they wrote, and it was quite enjoyable last year and looking forward to doing it again this year.
Cool. How about Clint? Is there anything that you could anything that I forgot off the top of your head?
Rick, you were really thorough and I appreciate it. I don't know of anything I would add other than to thank you. And yeah, expect that it might be Rick reaching out to confirm schedules, because he was right earlier when he said I was going to lean heavily on him to help set up these meetings. Yep. Like we talked about, I'm your single point of contact. So if you're not sure about something with scoring, reach out to me and we can talk through it. Yeah, and again, thank you so much for participating in this. We really appreciate it.
Okay. And Amy, I kind of wanted to hear, like, Amy or Nadia, if you're on here. No, I don't see Nadia. Amy, is there anything that you thought? There you are. Anything that you guys thought that I forgot too? Nothing yet. Amy. Okay. I see heads.
You covered it all.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. When will we receive our I would say, okay, what day is today? Tuesday? I need to talk with Clint about when you're going to get the applications. We just closed last night, so we had a flood of them in. We need to look at them. We need to determine that everybody is in what we call in good standing with our department. And then once we get everything finalized, I'm going to say within 48 hours, we can send everything out. That would probably be, yeah. So I got nothing else to do but work on the Ed grant right now. So I'm going to be bugging Clint probably, but yeah, I'm going to be helping as much as I can to do that. So, yeah, thanks. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. And I'm just going to, figure out how to stop the recording. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to stop it now. And that's